Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
Helan Jean drove steadily, holding onto the steering wheel tightly to quell the irritation she felt toward Xiaohanya. She drove the Hummer H1 to Zhongshan Road and parked it on the roadside. She got off the car, the keys jiggling her hand as she walked briskly. Her ponytail swayed from side to side as she walked. The proud way with which she moved made her look very cute. Point two. Ms. He, Xiaohanya said as he followed behind her. She gave him a haughty look, but her eyes were twinkling. He did not know why her eyes seemed like stars. They were crystal clear, as if they could purify people's souls. Point two. Helan Jean threw the car keys at Xiaohanya and took him around 2 alleys. Point two. Not far away, a white BMW drove past Helan Jean. The car stopped with a screech, and the car window rolled down. Point two. Helan Jean? How can it be? Hiruashue took off her sunglasses and glared at Helan Jean's figure. There was a man beside her. Hiruashue could not see his face clearly, but even from behind, he looked very attractive. Point two. Hiruashue put on her coat, pushed open the car door, and chased after Helan Jean. Point two. From afar, Hiruashue saw Helan Jean choosing a seat. Before Helan Jean sat, the man wiped the chair for her. The two of them seemed very close. Point two. How come I didn't know that she had other friends besides Qinan? Helan Jean, you be *tch. You said I was your savior, but you have kept everything from me. What an amazing friend you are, Hiruashue said, her heart full of resentment. Point two. Hiruashue felt bitter, thinking that Helan Jean felt only pity for her and treated her like a beggar. Point two. Helan Jean, when I saved your life, you said that you and I were one, that there was no distinction between you and me. But even then, you never considered my feelings. Even if I change my surname to He, I'm still just a dog in your family. Now I discover that you have this man, and you never told me about him. How am I supposed to believe you? Hiruashue said with a snicker. Point two. The more Hiruashue thought about it, the more she felt that Helan Jean treated her like a pet. Helan Jean only gave her those LV bags, Chanel suits, and other branded stuff because Helan Jean did not like them. Hiruashue was furious. Point two. Hiruashue clenched her fists in anger. When she turned around, she saw a group of ruffians drinking and talking about fighting and killing. They were clearly gangsters. Point two. Hiruashue's beautiful eyes were filled with greed. Her oval face took on a ruthless expression. She covered her face with a scarf and looked down as she walked over to the thugs. Point two. Helan Jean felt that someone was staring at her. She took out a mirror and looked at her face, studying the lively night stand reflected in the mirror. She was stunned to see a familiar figure, which clearly disappeared from her sight. Point two. What's wrong? Xiaohanya asked, seeing the strange expression on Helan Jean's face. Point two. Helan Jean stood up and said, I can't bear to see you hurt. I'll go buy you some medicine, too. She stood up and left. Xiaohanya watched her leave, smiling coldly. Point two. Helan Jean walked around and inspected the night market, bought medicine, and even brought back some firecrackers. She put them on the table under Xiaohanya's watchful eyes. How do you want to play? He asked. Point two. About that, Helan Jean leaned on the table, propping herself up on one hand while the other stroked her chin mischievously. Point two. Just then, the server brought the dishes over. Helan Jean picked up her chopsticks and started eating. Hurry up and eat, she said to Xiaohanya. After eating, we can get things done, too. Oh, is Miss He's going to pull me onto the boat? Xiaohanya teased. He looked at her eating quickly, noting that her actions were elegant, completely different from those of the hypocritical women he knew. Point two. Helan Jean handed Xiaohanya a bottle of beer in a forthright manner. She said, Brother, drink up. Don't stand on ceremony, too. Xiaohanya slightly narrowed his eyes. No one knew what he was thinking. He said, To what do I owe the pleasure of being called your brother? You know I can still run errands for you, too. As he said this, Xiaohanya caught the sly glint in Helan Jean's eyes. Suddenly, he was looking forward to what she was going to do. Point two. After supper, Helan Jean stood up, stretched, and put her coat on. She stuffed a firecracker into Xiaohanya's arms and whispered, Remember what I said. 2. Okay. Xiao Hanya replied. Point 2. Watching from a hidden area, Nan Feng threw away the sunflower seeds he was nibbling on. He scratched his head, feeling a little depressed. His master could earn tens of millions of dollars in a minute, but he was wasting his time eating here with this little girl. Point 2. Leaving Xiao Hanya, He Lanjin went to a nearby bar. Holding her head as if she had a headache, she said out loud, I think I drank too much. I feel dizzy. What should I do to? The hoodlums from earlier surrounded He Lanjin. Little girl, are you feeling uncomfortable? One of them asked. Come, let Big Brother send you home. 2. He Lanjin nodded happily. Appearing to have come to a realization, she suddenly shook her head in a panic and said, Wait, are you bad people? 2. Haha. Little sister, don't be afraid. Big brothers are good people, the thugs said. They inched closer, but He Lanjin held her arms out to ward them off. She looked at them with narrowed eyes, her body swaying a little for a drunken effect. Hee hee, she chuckled. You're really good people, too. The men smiled and nodded, seeing how tall and slender He Lanjin was. She was not wearing any makeup, revealing her natural delicate beauty. They followed He Lanjin out in the street, saying, Tonight, these brothers will have a good time, too. He Lanjin walked drunkenly into a remote alley. Point 2. In the alley, He Lanjin leaned against the wall and vomited. A few ruffians rushed in, immediately taking off their clothes and pouncing on her. They immediately regretted the decision to follow her, after realizing the pain she would inflict on them. Point 2. Ah, groaned one of the men, gritting his teeth in pain as the toothpick He Lanjin grabbed from the food stall sank in his body. Point 2. He Lanjin turned around and kicked the man, sending him flying and knocking the other thugs behind him. Point 2. She beat up all the thugs, who were taken aback that someone so beautiful and delicate-looking could defend herself like this. Point 2. Hiroashi's white BMW stopped by the roadside. She heard He Lanjin's screams echoing in the alley. Hiroshi gripped the steering wheel tightly and reached into the back seat to get the fruit knife that she prepared specifically for this purpose. Point 2. Hiroshi got off the car and approached the alley cautiously. Seeing that there were no cameras installed near the deserted alley, she quickened her pace. Point 2. As she entered the alley, Hiroshi saw several men lying on the ground, their clothes disheveled. They seemed sated and content, as if they were resting after a satisfying evening. He Lanjin was hiding in a dark corner, her body trembling. Point 2. Sensing someone approaching, He Lanjin curled into a fetal position. MD said, No, do not come near me. Stay away, too. Seeing He Lanjin's pitiful appearance, Hiroshi felt emboldened, the coldness in her eyes deepening. She slowly approached and softly said, Ah, Jean, it's me, too. Xiao Xiao Shui. He Lanjin said in a trembling voice, her eyes welling up with tears. Quick, take me away, she sobbed as she looked at Hiroshi. I'm scared, Xiao Shui. I'm so scared, too. Hiroshi stepped forward and hugged He Lanjin tightly. Point 2. Did they defile you? Hiroshi asked in a low voice. Point 2. He Lanjin shook her head repeatedly as she grabbed her coat. No, they did no such thing, too. Ah, Jean, don't be afraid. I came for you, didn't I? Hiroshi said mockingly. I'm here to help. Seeing the panic in He Lanjin's eyes, Hiroshi smiled menacingly. Point 2. Stupid He Lanjin. Did she really think Hiroshi came to save her? She didn't spend a lot of money hiring those thugs to defile He Lanjin. If only Hiroshi would save her in the end. Oh, how Hiroshi wished Lu Zifen were here to witness He Lanjin being molested by these gangsters. He Lanjin's death would mean a good future for Hiroshi. Tang Jilin would probably not bear a child anymore, which meant that Hiroshi would inherit everything that belonged to the He family. She, who had always felt like an outsider, would be able to find out the secrets that Lu Zifen wanted. Point 2. Naturally, all Hiroshi wanted right now was for He Lanjin to die. Point 2. Help me? What do you mean? He Lanjin asked nervously, obviously confused. Point 2. Hiroshi reached in her bag and took out her fruit knife. Without hesitation, she attacked He Lanjin with the knife. But before the knife reached any part of Helanjin's body, firecrackers went off. The crackling sounds woke up the sleeping residents in the area and momentarily distracted Hiroashua.2. Thick smoke blinded Hiroashua briefly, allowing Helanjin to grab Hiroashua's wrist.2. Before Hiroashua could react, Helanjin stabbed herself on the arm with Hiroashua's knife. Blood seeped through Helanjin's arm, staining her shirt red.2. Hiroashua's eyes widened as her fair, oval face went pale. She looked at Helanjin's strange smile, and her scalp went numb.2. "What are you doing?" Tang Jilin said in alarm, appearing out of nowhere. She ran over to fuss over Helanjin, while He Wenqing stood from afar, unable to believe that Hiroashua attempted to kill Helanjin. It was, however, as clear as day. They had caught Hiroashua in the act, her hand still on the hilt of the knife that Helanjin was stabbed with.2. He Wenqing would have wanted stupid Helanjin to be stabbed and maimed, especially after she made him sign that piece of paper. He did not know what was written on that document, but he would be able to breathe better if she was not holding an ace against him.2. "Why do you want to kill me?" Helanjin sobbed as she looked at the knife stuck to her arm. She looked at Hiroashua in disbelief.2. Hiroashua panicked and pulled out the fruit knife from Helanjin's arm. It fell to the ground with a clang. Hiroashua turned to Tang Jilin and said, "Mom, I didn't stab sister. She stabbed herself. I would never hurt Ajin. You have to believe me, too." Hiroashua felt fear rising up at her chest. Why wouldn't things go her way, too? "Xiaoxua," Tang Jilin said as she shook her head in disbelief. She looked at her adopted daughter, her face full of disappointment. "I have treated you as my own daughter through the years. How could you do such a thing to Helanjin, too?" Helanjin closed her eyes and took a deep breath and said to Tang Jilin, "Hiroashua took a knife from me back then. This night, she stabbed me. From now on, we don't owe each other anything." She then turned to Hiroashua, saying, "I do not owe you my life anymore, too." Helanjin wanted everyone to be clear that she and Hiroashua were now even. She, Helanjin, was no longer bound by a debt of gratitude to Hiroashua.2. Hiroashua was so angry that she cried. She stomped her feet and said, "Helanjin, why do you hurt me this way? Why, too?" Hiroashua was fuming inside. She was telling the truth when she said that she did not stab Helanjin, but no one believed her.2. "Mom," Helanjin said in a very soft voice, "those men said they were Xiaoshua's friends. How do you think we would all end up in this alley if Hiroashua did not invite me to come here?" While no one was looking, Helanjin sneaked and kicked the first man that attacked her, waking him up.2. The thug opened his eyes and, seeing Hiroashua, called out to her, "Miss, I don't want to die. Save me. You can have your money back, too." Tang Jilin looked at Hiroashua in confusion. Hiroashua's face appeared drained of blood, and she had a flustered expression on her face.2. I don't know him," Hiroashua said, gritting her teeth and looking hatefully at Helanjin. She had fallen into Helanjin's trap. Now everyone was starting to see her true colors.2. But no, she could not lose. How could she lose to a woman as stupid as Helanjin? 2. Helanjin looked at Hiroashua's agitated face and grabbed her so tight that Hiroashua could not to move. Helanjin pressed her lips to Hiroashua's ear and said in a low voice, "Hiroashua, we are done. Tonight, with that knife of yours, you severed the bond between us, too. You won't be so lucky next time," Helanjin said coldly, her fingertips poking Hiroashua's chest.2. Helanjin's death would mean a good future for Hiroashua. Tang Jilin would probably not bear a child anymore, which meant that Hiroashua would inherit everything that belonged to the He family. She, who had always felt like an outsider, would be able to find out the secrets that Lu Zifan wanted.2. Naturally, all Hiroashua wanted right now was for Helanjin to die.2. "Help me? What do you mean?" Helanjin asked nervously, obviously confused.2. Hiroashua reached in her bag and took out her fruit knife. Without hesitation, she attacked Helanjin with the knife. But before the knife reached any part of Helanjin's body, firecrackers went off. The crackling sounds woke up the sleeping residents in the area and momentarily distracted Hiroashua. Point 2. Thick smoke blinded Hiroashua briefly, allowing Hilanjin to grab Hiroashua's wrist. Point 2. Before Hiroashua could react, Hilanjin stabbed herself on the arm with Hiroashua's knife. Blood seeped through Hilanjin's arm, staining her shirt red. Point 2. Hiroashua's eyes widened as her fair, oval face went pale. She looked at Hilanjin's strange smile, and her scalp went numb. Point 2. What are you doing? Tang Jilin said in alarm, appearing out of nowhere. She ran over to fuss over Hilanjin while He Winching stood from afar, unable to believe that Hiroashua attempted to kill Hilanjin. It was, however, as clear as day. They had caught Hiroashua in the act, her hand still on the hilt of the knife that Hilanjin was stabbed with. Point 2. He Winching would have wanted stupid Hilanjin to be stabbed and maimed, especially after she made him sign that piece of paper. He did not know what was written on that document, but he would be able to breathe better if she was not holding an ace against him. Point 2. Why do you want to kill me? Hilanjin sobbed as she looked at the knife stuck to her arm. She looked at Hiroashua in disbelief. Point 2. Hiroashua panicked and pulled out the fruit knife from Hilanjin's arm. It fell to the ground with a clang. Hiroashua turned to Tang Jilin and said, Mom, I didn't stab sister. She stabbed herself. I would never hurt Ajin. You have to believe me, too. Hiroashua felt fear rising up in her chest. Why wouldn't things go her way, too? Xiaoxua, Tang Jilin said as she shook her head in disbelief. She looked at her adopted daughter, her face full of disappointment. I have treated you as my own daughter through the years. How could you do such a thing to Hilanjin, too? Hilanjin closed her eyes and took a deep breath and said to Tang Jilin, Hiroashua took a knife from me back then. This night, she stabbed me. From now on, we don't owe each other anything. She then turned to Hiroashua, saying, I do not owe you my life anymore. 2. Hilanjin wanted everyone to be clear that she and Hiroashua were now even. She, Hilanjin, was no longer bound by a debt of gratitude to Hiroashua. Point 2. Hiroashua was so angry that she cried. She stomped her feet and said, Hilanjin, why do you hurt me this way? Why, too? Hiroashua was fuming inside. She was telling the truth when she said that she did not stab Hilanjin, but no one believed her. Point 2. Mom, Hilanjin said in a very soft voice. Those men said they were Xiaoshua's friends. How do you think we would all end up in this alley if Hiroashua did not invite me to come here? While no one was looking, Hilanjin sneaked and kicked the first man that attacked her, waking him up. Point 2. The thug opened his eyes, and seeing Hiroashua, called out to her, Miss, I don't want to die. Save me. You can have your money back. 2. Tang Jilin looked at Hiroashua in confusion. Hiroashua's face appeared drained of blood, and she had a flustered expression on her face. Point 2. I don't know him, Hiroashua said, gritting her teeth and looking hatefully at Hilanjin. She had fallen into Hilanjin's trap. Now everyone was starting to see her true colors. Point 2. But no, she could not lose. How could she lose to a woman as stupid as Hilanjin? 2. Hilanjin looked at Hiroashua's agitated face and grabbed her so tight that Hiroashua could not to move. Hilanjin pressed her lips to Hiroashua's ear and said in a low voice, Hiroashua, we are done. Tonight, with that knife of yours, you severed the bond between us, too. You won't be so lucky next time, Hilanjin said coldly, her fingertips poking Hiroashua's chest. Point 2. Hiroashua looked at Hilanjin, whose eyes had turned abnormally cold. Hiroashua shivered, feeling as if her heart was stabbed by a cold sword. The Hilanjin she was looking at was very different from the Hilanjin she knew. Point 2. Fear engulfed Hiroashua. She could deny stabbing Hilanjin, but she could not deny hiring these men to rape her sister. If these men would tell the truth, the He family would kick Hiroashua out. Point 2. Why was Hilanjin ruining her life? Hiroashua glared at Hilanjin, her heart full of hatred. Point 2. I took a knife for you and almost lost my life when we were young. Hiroashua trembled in anger as she shouted at Hilanjin. Now you are deliberately framing me? It's a shame I didn't see your true colors earlier, too. If only Hiroashua had known that this would happen, she would never have wasted her breath. She would have stabbed Hilanjin to death and stripped her of her clothes for the thugs to feast on point two. Helan Jean felt freer now. She did not have to pretend to be ignorant of Hiroashiue's malicious deeds anymore. Hiroashiue's attack was unexpected and would have ended Helan Jean's life. Good thing Helan Jean attended military school and knew how to protect herself. Point two. Frame you? Helan Jean asked as she took a step back. She raised her arm and slapped Hiroashio, who fell to the ground due to the impact of the slap. Helan Jean half-dragged her first attacker over and said, "Tell me, who asked you to invite me here?" 2. Helan Jean stepped on the ruffian's shoulder as she twisted his arm, causing the man great pain. Fearing for his life, the man pointed to Hiroashio. Yes, it was her who told us to take advantage of you, too." Hiroashio wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth before she got up. With tears in her eyes, she looked at Tang Jilin. Point two. Gritting her teeth, Hiroashio looked at Helan Jean, who seemed to be crying her heart out. "Ah, Jean, if you do not want me to be a part of your family, then you should have just said so. You did not have to set up this elaborate trap for me. This only goes to show how much you hate me. But it's okay. Now I know, too. I'll give you what you want," Hiroashio sobbed. "I will face my death in front of you." Without warning, she turned around and slammed into the wall. Point two. Hiroashio collapsed on the ground, her head bleeding. Tang Jilin ran over to her and hugged her. After getting over the initial shock, Tang Jilin slapped Hiroashio and said, "Xiaoxua, silly child, what on earth are you doing?" 2. Tang Jilin turned to Helan Jean, anger evident on her face. "Ah, Jean, have you had enough? You drove your sister to hurt herself. Are you really trying to destroy our family? You don't even seem to know how to distinguish right from wrong anymore." 2. If something bad happens to Xiaoxua, don't dare come home to us for the rest of your life," Tang Jilin said ruthlessly. Point two. With Tang Jilin's arms around her, Hiroashio relaxed. She had regained the upper hand, and she wasted no time in provoking Helan Jean further. Hiroashio looked at Helan Jean gloatingly. "Mother, don't scold her," Hiroashio said with tears in her eyes. "It's all my fault, too." Helan Jean smiled coldly. Point two. She did not mean to drive Hiroashio out of the family, but she wanted her parents to see Hiroashio's true colors. She also wanted to see how important Hiroashio was to her parents. Point two. Helan Jean saw it now, in the way Tang Jilin was hugging and fussing over Hiroashio. She did not see the same kind of concern from her mother when she injured herself in the car accident. Helan Jean was so sad it was uncomfortable. She turned around to leave. Point two. "Helan Jean, if you leave now, you will no longer have a mother to return to," Tang Jilin said gravely. Point two. Unfortunately, Tang Jilin's threats could not bring Helan Jean back. Tang Jilin hated that Helan Jean did not live up to her expectations, but she still wanted to chase after Helan Jean and make her stay. Hiroashio, however, hugged Tang Jilin tightly and did not want to let her go. "Mom, I too." Hiroashio was so excited for her victory that she fainted in Tang Jilin's arms. Point two. Tang Jilin was Hiroashio's best bet to making Lu Zifan happy. Hiroashio could not count on Helan Jean to reveal the family secrets, so she must turn to Tang Jilin. Unknown to the parties concerned, a number of people were watching the scene play out. Point two. The spectators watched and pointed, giving voice to what they think and feel about the incident. This woman has no shame, snatching her sister's man and stabbing her in the middle of the night. Poor miss, he is going through a lot of suffering right now. How pitiful. Soon, a photo of Hiroashio stabbing Helan Jean was circulating on the internet. Point two. Within minutes, the police came and forcefully took the ruffians away. Hiroashio was anxious that the thugs would tell on her, but since she pretended to be unconscious, she could only watch helplessly as the police took them all away. Point two. As for Helan Jean, she might be strong, but the way her parents acted toward her after the incident broke her heart. She had always been unassuming, allowing Hiroashio to get her way since she entered the family. But what happened tonight was enough to make her heart cold. Point two. Lost in these thoughts, Helan Jean threw a blood bag from her sweater into the trash can. Point two. Helan Jean made a phone call. "I need help in investigating the true cause of the death of Hiroashio's parents. I also know why was she there coincidentally when I was kidnapped that night." 2. Helanjin's questions needed answers. Point 2. Helanjin had been doubting her parents since Hiroashua came to their lives, but she was afraid that she was just overthinking things. She hushed her thoughts, especially since Hiroashua did take a knife for her. She was grateful to Hiroashua for saving her life and did everything to show how much she appreciated Hiroashua. Helanjin never imagined that this would happen to her family. Point 2. A vaguely familiar voice disturbed Helanjin's thoughts. Looking over, she saw Lu Zifan, who was talking on the phone with someone. Helanjin hid in the dark as Lu Zifan was walking over. "Don't worry," he said into the phone. "I will get the He family's secrets as soon as possible." 2. "Don't worry," Lu Zifan continued. "Helanjin has completely fallen in love with me. I will have the He family soon, too." It was a quiet night. Helanjin heard every word Lu Zifan said. Point 2. After the call, Lu Zifan checked the time on his wristwatch, visibly irritated. "Why did Hiroashua, that idiot, ask me to come here in the middle of the night?" he said in frustration. Point 2. Suddenly, Secretary Yang came rushing to Lu Zifan's side. "Young Master Lu, Missy is on the news." 2. "What did Helanjin do this time?" Lu Zifan asked nonchalantly as he tugged at his tie. Point 2. Secretary Yang's expression flickered. "It's not Helanjin," he said in a serious voice. It's Hiroashua. Someone took a photo of her stabbing Helanjin. I don't know the exact situation, but the news is blowing up the internet, with netizens giving their own opinions about the incident." 2. F***CK. Lu Zifan had always been gentle and refined, but now he was swearing openly. "Were people saying now, too? The scandal involving you and Hiroashua has been dug out again," Secretary Yang said as he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Was his master blind? How could he get involved with someone as stupid as Hiroashua? 2. Lu Zifan was quiet, obviously thinking about his next move. F***CK, stupid woman. Lu Zifan cursed. He turned around, got into his car, and drove away. Point 2. Lu Zifan is after the He family. That much I know. But who is secretly manipulating him from behind? Who wants the He family? Helanjin asked herself. Using her phone, she hacked into Lu Zifan's. Naked photos of Lu Zifan and Zhao Yui popped up on her screen. Point 2. Helanjin was so shocked by the photos. She felt like she was going blind. Point 2. Just as she was about to exit Lu Zifan's phone, a large hand snatched her phone away. Point 2. Helanjin looked up and saw Xiao Hanya standing in front of her, holding her phone in his hand. He asked in a low voice, "So Missy likes this kind of thing, too?" Helanjin's face turned red. She reached out to snatch the phone, but he was a head taller than her, and he was holding the phone above his head. Point 2. Helanjin did not expect to see such an inappropriate scene in Lu Zifan's phone, nor did she want to. Xiao Hanya's insinuation was very embarrassing. She jumped and pulled his hand, bent on retrieving her phone. Point 2. Helanjin pounced on Xiao Hanya, surprising him. Her soft body pressed against his. "Give me back my phone," Helanjin said coldly. She needed to check Lu Zifan's IP call to find out who the other party was. Point 2. The phone call conveyed a very important message. Someone was manipulating the situation behind the scenes, wanting to destroy the He family through Lu Zifan's hands. But what exactly did the He family have that other people were determined to get? 2. Helanjin was almost certain that it had nothing to do with Week because He Winching was a coward. No matter how big the family business was, he couldn't support it. The He Family Corporation was basically an empty shell. Point 2. "Don't move, woman." Xiao Hanya's magnetic voice was hoarse, his eyes dark. He put his arm around Helanjin's waist, pulling her close. Point 2. Helanjin was shocked. Xiao Hanya's body seemed to be burning. Her body froze in his arms. She was about to speak, but she heard the sound of a car. With a screech, Lu Zifan's car stopped nearby. Point 2. "Master Lu, Missy is wading in muddy waters. Do you really want to get involved?" Secretary Yang followed Lu Zifan nervously, obviously very confused. Point 2. Lu Zifan spent a lot of money to suppress the scandal, and here was Hiroashua stirring the negative news up yet again. He wanted nothing more than to strangle Hiroashua to death right now, but she was his only ticket to getting the He family's secrets. Without her, his plan would fall through the cracks. Point 2. Your fiancé is here, Xiao Hanya whispered to He Lanjin, his lips pressing against her ear. Point 2. The feel of Xiao Hanya's lips against her ear sent a numbness throughout He Lanjin's body, as if she was drugged. She felt breathless. All of a sudden, she could not feel the ground beneath her. Point 2. What are you doing? He Lanjin asked as she felt Xiao Hanya's arms enveloping and lifting her. She was so shocked that she clenched her arms around the man's neck and wrapped her legs around his waist. Point 2. Realizing what Xiao Hanya was doing, He Lanjin did not put up any resistance. She did not dare move, afraid that Lu Zifan might sense her. Lu Zifan, however, seemed wary, having heard a familiar voice. Point 2. Xiao Hanya supported He Lanjin's body with both arms, carrying her away as he walked with huge strides. He walked confidently, without a care in the world, even as he bumped into Lu Zifan. Point 2. Lu Zifan hissed as a man carrying a woman bumped into him. He ignored the man, but then he seemed to hear a very soft voice. It was He Lanjin's. Point 2. Carrying He Lanjin in his arms, Xiao Hanya walked past Lu Zifan arrogantly, as if the latter was a piece of trash. Point 2. Young Master Lu, are you okay? Secretary Yang asked, as he ran forward to steady Lu Zifan. Point 2. Lu Zifan waved Secretary Yang away, staring at Xiao Hanya's back instead. Did you happen to see who that man is carrying? 2. The night is too dark. I can't see clearly, Secretary Yang replied. Point 2. Lu Zifan could not shake off the feeling that something was wrong. He was certain he heard He Lanjin's voice. Could she be having an affair? Was she out on a date with another man in the middle of the night? Lu Zifan thought about how He Lanjin treated him as if he was nothing, never taking the initiative to contact him. The more he thought about it, the more upset he got. Point 2. Young Master Lu, look. Secretary Yang pointed to the opposite alley. He Wenqing and Tang Jilin could be seen emerging from the passageway, carrying He Ruoxue into their car. Suddenly, a public announcement sounded off, waking up even more people than the incident earlier. Point 2. Don't miss it. Police suspect that the young master from the famous Lu family is doing monkey business around the area. The announcement blared. Point 2. Lu Zifan's face darkened. Someone was playing him. He clenched his fists as he turned around and get into his car. Point 2. He Lanjin secretly stared at Lu Zifan as Xiao Hanya carried her in his arms. She could not stop grinning, thinking of how the proud and mighty Lu Zifan had been made a fool of. Once out of Lu Zifan's sight, He Lanjin jumped out of Xiao Hanya's arms. Upon hearing the broadcast, stood in attention and looked at Xiao Hanya with wide eyes. Was it you who did this, too? The announcement was too much for He Lanjin to take. She burst into laughter. Point 2. Lu Zifan will definitely be angered to death, He Lanjin said in a low voice. Point 2. He Lanjin grew quiet, remembering what happened earlier. She had always been strong, but she felt sad and disappointed after learning that her parents did not really care about her. She has mastered controlling her emotions since she was young. No one could see through her, which was the reason her parents always thought she was stupid. Point 2. As if fate knew what He Lanjin was doing, it sent He Ruoxue to the He family. He Ruoxue's stay helped hide He Lanjin's unconventional and edgy personality. Point 2. Xiao Hanya looked at He Lanjin, seeing the struggle and the pain in her heart. The human heart is unpredictable, and some people could be downright evil. But sometimes these people do not deserve the affection and the love we have for them. 2. Tonight, Xiao Hanya was seeing a different He Lanjin. She knew that He Ruoxue was going to frame her, but she deliberately walked right into the trap. He Lanjin could not help but have some expectations, could she? If He Ruoxue had not taken out the knife, perhaps He Lanjin would not be so upset. Point 2. Here was a person who saved He Lanjin, grew up together with her, and treated her as a sister, but stole her stuff and tried to ruin her reputation. He Ruoxue had brainwashed He Lanjin's parents, stealing their affections away. Point 2. He Lanjin had a happy family, but He Ruoxue's arrival turned her into an orphan with no one to rely on. Point 2. I'm fine. I'm used to it. He Lanjin laughed softly, smiling to hide her hurt expression. She took 2 steps forward, and, seeing that Xiao Hanya did not move to follow her, she turned around and grabbed his wrist point too. Xiao Hanya looked Helan Jin, then at her hand, which was clutching his. He shrugged, gripped her hand in return, and walked forward, dragging her point too. Helan Jin stopped, suddenly feeling awkward. It was not her intention to hold his hand. She just wanted to drag him away point too. Helan Jin wanted to explain, but Xiao Hanya was now holding her small hand tightly, his thick palm creating a tight seal against hers. Noticing that Helan Jin stopped walking, Xiao Hanya stopped, turned around in confusion, and asked, "Why? Haven't you played enough, too?" Helan Jin struggled to free her hand a few times, but Xiao Hanya was very strong. She could not free herself from his grip point too. Helan Jin suddenly remembered that she still had not thanked Xiao Hanya for his help tonight with the firecrackers and for directing her parents to the alleyway. "How did you find them so quickly?" Helan Jin was puzzled. She just wanted to test Xiao Hanya and see how good he was at accomplishing things. She did not expect that he would really find her parents on time point too. "I just reminded your father that some of CEO Huang's people had access to information about an unspeakable matter that would cause a scandal if exposed," Xiao Hanya said as he held Helan Jin's hand. She could feel the heat emanating from his body as his palm warmed hers point too. Helan Jin's laughter rang in the quiet night point too. Helan Jin laughed with such mirth that Xiao Hanya could not help but smile point too. With the midnight moon hidden behind the clouds, the dim street lights cast slender shadows on the street. Their shadows overlapped, as if intertwined point too. "Let's go get the car," Xiao Hanya said and let go of Helan Jin's hand. They walked to the roadside in comfortable silence. Before they got to the car, Helan Jin pulled Xiao Hanya's hand and looked at his palm. "It's okay," he said as he pulled his hand back. "I'll drive, too." "But your injury," Helan Jin protested. Xiao Hanya opened the passenger door and motioned for her to get in the car point too. Helan Jin got into the car. As soon as she was seated, Xiao Hanya leaned in, pulled Helan Jin's seatbelt, and fastened it for her before closing the door. He walked over to the other side of the car and got on the driver's seat without saying anything point too. Helan Jin was stunned, inexplicably overwhelmed by the gesture. Her heart thumped very fast. She felt like several fawns were running across her chest. She took out her phone and scrolled through the news, trying to act cool point too. Xiao Hanya drove back to Scenery Garden. They got off the car and walked side by side toward the house. Helan Jin opened her mouth to speak, but even before she could say anything, she heard Xiao Hanya speak point too. "It's your business, yes, but hear me out," Xiao Hanya said in his deep voice. "Keep your plans to yourself so your enemy would not know your next move. If you can, target his assets first. That will cripple him, making it easier for you to finish the job." 2. Surprised, Helan Jin looked at Xiao Hanya. She found it hard to believe that he actually knew what she was thinking. But she felt lucky, too, to share a tacit understanding with this mystifying man. The good feeling, however, was displaced by an idea that suddenly popped in her head point too. She was hit by a mysterious car on the night that she committed suicide, which solved her problem because she did not know how to make it look like an accident. Why was she getting the feeling that the accident was Xiao Hanya's doing? That night, was it your car that crashed into mine? When he heard Helan Jin's question, Xiao Hanya could not help but laugh. Staring into her eyes, he raised his eyebrows and asked, "What do you think?" He then turned and continued walking toward the house point too. "Xiao Hanya, how dare you bump into me? Are you asking for a beating?" Helan Jin quickened her pace and chased after him. Instead of running away to avoid her, Xiao Hanya stopped, turned around, and opened his arms point too. It was too late for Helan Jin to stop. She ran straight into his arms, which enveloped her in a warm hug. She was stunned, and even more so when he put his hand on her head and drew her close to him. "Don't let unimportant people make you sad. Even when the sky falls, I will be here to help you." 2. Xiao Hanya's words seemed to put her in a trance point too. But what was more surprising was how she and Xiao Hanya understood each other without the need for many words point too. Xiao Hanya laughed out loud as he entered the house, disturbing Helan Jean's thoughts. Point 2. Before he opened the door to the house, Xiao Hanya threw the car keys at Helan Jean, yelling, "Catch!" She raised her hand to catch the keys and started running to attack him. Xiao Hanya, however, quickly disappeared into his study room, smiling. She shook her head as she ran up to her room. Point 2. Helan Jean saw Han Beicheng on her way to her room. He was leaning on the side, holding a megaphone in his hand. He looked at her helplessly. Point 2. The megaphone in Han Beicheng's hand reminded Helan Jean of the broadcast they heard earlier. Before he could say a word, Helan Jean said, "Good night, Mr. Han." She quickly closed the bedroom door behind her. Point 2. Helan Jean showered before climbing into bed. While she was drying her hair, she saw a box on the bedside table. She got off the bed to examine it. As she reached to pick it up, she heard the box pop. It split open and started spurting out some kind of liquid. Point 2. Shocked, Helan Jean let go of the box, dropping it on the floor. She inched closer to the box and saw that the liquid had turned into colorful bubbles that floated in the air. Under the lights, the bubbles looked extremely beautiful. Point 2. Helan Jean did not even need to think. There was no one in Jing Garden besides herself, Xiao Hanya, and Han Beicheng. She was sure that it was Xiao Hanya who set this up for her. Point 2. Childish. Helan Jean laughed softly. She stared at the colorful bubbles floating in the air. It took a while before she saw the figure outside the window. She nodded to it and mouthed, "Thank you. I'm feeling so much better, too." The figure nodded back and disappeared without a word. Point 2. Helan Jean climbed back onto the bed and looked at the bubbles that were still floating in the air. She stretched out her finger and poked one lightly. As the bubble popped, it left a heart-shaped mark on her fingertip. She curiously stared at the mark. Point 2. Thump, thump, thump. Her heart was beating fast again. Helan Jean was at a loss. She quickly turned off the light and crawled into the quilt. Her face was very red, and she tossed and turned, but she could not fall asleep. Point 2. This was the first time in 23 years that she had been made to feel like a small child, so Helan Jean naturally had mixed feelings. She looked at the heart-shaped mark on her fingertip and gently wiped it, causing a burning sensation. She turned over and lay on the bed, hugging her pillow. Point 2. She kept tossing and turning, causing her to fall to the carpeted floor. She lifted her long legs playfully and quietly climbed back up on the bed. Point 2. As Helan Jean settled back on the bed, her phone rang. It was Qin Nan, calling with a big piece of information. "Ah, Jean, I was targeted by a rich tycoon," he said in an excited voice. "He even gave me a sports car worth more than 100 million yuan. It's really hard to be handsome, too." Meanwhile, in the bedroom next door, Xiao Hanya suddenly sneezed. Point 2. "Master, are you all right?" Han Beicheng said as he walked in, leaving the megaphone outside. "I'll get the doctor to come over, too." "There's no need," Xiao Hanya said as he walked to the table to retrieve a file, hair still wet from the shower. He handed the folder to Han Beicheng, saying, "Go and check this, too." Han Beicheng looked at the file and casually flipped through its pages. "Master, do you think someone is using the Liu family to get to the He group? I don't understand. The Liu family is far more popular and a lot richer than the He family. Why would two groups of people agree to bring the He family down? 2. Go check," Xiao Hanya said in a low voice. Point 2. "Right away, master," Han Beicheng replied. Although he wanted to know why Xiao Hanya wanted to interfere with the He family's affairs, he did not ask further. Point 2. Han Beicheng turned to leave, but Xiao Hanya stopped him. "Wait, 2. Master." Han Beicheng turned around in confusion. Point 2. Xiao Hanya leaned on his desk, writing something. He handed a piece of paper to Han Beicheng and said, "Check those out together. Go back and forth carefully, too." "Yes." Han Beicheng stared at the name, finally understanding what his master wanted. The next morning, Helan Jean woke up early. Point 2. She rolled up her sleeves and headed downstairs, yawning as she walked. Bored, she turned the television on. She ran to the kitchen on a whim, her eyes lighting up at the thought of showing off her skills. Point 2. After a couple of hours, Helan Jean was ready to taste her creation. She scooped herself a bowl of the fragrant soup, but instead of drinking it, she gave it to Xiao Hanya when he entered the kitchen. "Mr. Xiao, come and have a taste of my cooking," Helan Jean said as she handed him the bowl. Point 2. Xiao Hanya looked at Helan Jean. She wore her hair in a bun and had a loose hoodie on. She seemed relaxed, but full of energy. Point 2. You made this? Xiao Hanya asked as looked at the bowl in Helan Jin's hands. She extended her arms, motioning for him to take the bowl. This is a secret recipe passed down in the He family for generations, Helan Jin boasted. Once you drink it, you won't forget it for the rest of your life. 2. Xiao Hanya took the bowl of soup and finished it in one gulp. His expression changed. Point 2. All of a sudden, Xiao Hanya's entire body was burning hot, as if there was a prehistoric power surging through him. The man's masculinity was stirred up. His handsome face instantly darkened. He looked at the pot of precious medicinal herbs. Point 2. Seeing Xiao Hanya's expression change, Helan Jin reached for the bowl to taste the soup. Point 2. Before Helan Jin could bring the bowl to her lips, Xiao Hanya held her hand. He snatched the bowl from her, pursed his lips, and drank the remaining brew. He said in a low voice, not bad, too. Helan Jin's phone rang. She turned away to answer the call, but before she left the kitchen, she turned to Xiao Hanya. Leave some for me. This was her first time to make soup. How could she let him have it all, too? As soon as Helan Jin walked out of the kitchen, Xiao Hanya took the pot of soup and shoved it into Han Beicheng's arms. Take care of this, too. Master what? Confused, Han Beicheng carried the pot upstairs and secretly took a sip of the broth. Point 2. The heat in Xiao Hanya's body was unbearable. As 2 cups of strong, nourishing yang soup filled his stomach, every cell in his body was craving, as if he was going to sow the spring sunshine of March in the dry winter season in the next second. Point 2. After her phone call, Helan Jin returned to the kitchen. Point 2. She was a bit puzzled that no one was in the kitchen. Was she on the phone that long? She poured herself a glass of water and walked to the living room. Point 2. Other than the television still playing, there was almost no sound. Helan Jin took the remote control to turn off the television. Before she could, however, she heard the TV host. All right, so we just showed you how to make strong, nourishing yang soup. I hope it can help those who suffer from impotence and premature ejaculation. Again, if you have no such condition, please do not try the soup, or you will bear the consequences, too. Helan Jin spat out the water she just drank. Point 2. The He family's soup recipe Helan Jin was boasting about turned out to be a recipe she got from a television show. But what's worse was that she made a mistake, too. Helan Jin threw the remote control on the couch and ran upstairs. Mr. Chiao, she said as she pushed open the door to his room. Hearing the sound of running water, she stood in front of the door and shouted at the top of her voice, "Are you okay, too?" Xiao Hanya had just finished his extra cold shower, which proved really effective in lowering his temperature and calming the fire that burned through his body. He was going to put on his clothes, but even before he got to putting on his underwear, he heard Helan Jin's voice from outside the door. Without warning, he felt hot all over again, as if he did not take a shower. Point 2. Damn woman, Xiao Hanya muttered under his breath as he threw his underwear on the mirror, hitting his reflection. He stood under the shower head, letting the cold water fall on his body. The air seemed charged with her aura, which made the fire in his body burn more fiercely. Point 2. Helan Jin got suspicious. She knocked on the bathroom door. Point 2. Mr. Chiao. Helan Jin repeatedly knocked on the door, afraid that she might kill someone. Point 2. The door opened, revealing Xiao Hanya with only a towel wrapped around his waist. Water dripped down his muscular body like crystal-clear pearls. Helan Jin's throat suddenly felt so tight she had to swallow. Point 2. This. Helan Jin's mouth felt parched. She instantly regretted knocking on the door. Point 2. Just as Helan Jin was about to turn around and leave Xiao Hanya's room, he grabbed her wrist, too. Helan Jin felt Xiao Hanya's strong grip on her wrist as he took her to the side of the room. She could feel his body temperature burning her skin. Point 2. Her back against the table. Helan Jin felt small as Xiao Hanya stood in front of her. Point 2. Helan Jin felt extremely nervous as Xiao Hanya bent forward. She leaned back, grabbing the edge of the table. Just as she was about to hit Xiao Hanya with her knee, he reached behind her, accidentally brushing his lips across the side of her face. Point 2. I need you to test drive a car, Xiao Hanya said in a deep voice. Point 2. Xiao Hanya took Helan Jin's hand palm up and put the key on her palm. He then closed her fingers on the car key and patted her fist thrice. Point two. Oh, okay, Jean said meekly as her heart thumped wildly. Key in hand, she ran past Xiao Hanya and left the room. She closed the door, palms sweating. Only then did she realize that she was actually sweating in the middle of winter. Point two. What on earth am I thinking? Jean slapped her checks to sober herself up. Point two. She headed to her room to change into a set of clean clothes. Car keys in hand, she went downstairs. When she got to the garage, she pressed the remote that came with the car key. Jean followed the alarm and saw a brand new sports car. Point two. She could tell at a glance that it was a good car. She excitedly got into the car and sat on the driver's seat. Point two. Jean was puzzled to see a bouquet of roses on the passenger seat, but she paid no heed to it and fastened her seatbelt on. She stepped on the gas in the brand new rose-scented car, catching a glimpse of the Dr. Shangwan Ji rushing in as she drove away from Scenery Garden. Point two. Jean drove to the city, where she overheard people discussing what Ruoxue had been up to lately. Ruoxue had undoubtedly gained a huge following, joining the ranks of famous entertainment celebrities. The only difference was that Ruoxue became known for her misdeeds. Point two. Walking along the city streets, Jean heard someone calling her name. The voice was soft, gentle, and very pleasant to the ear. Point two. Turning around, she saw a woman dressed plainly. She looked like an orchid in the valley, her beauty and quiet strength showing through her simple clothes. Point two. Aunt, Jean said, a smile spreading across her face. The weather's really cold. Why are you here? She strode toward the woman excitedly. Point two. Shun Biqiong was a middle-aged woman whose elegance never went unnoticed. Light as a chrysanthemum, she had a beauty that could still turn heads. Point two. You know it's cold, yet you're still wearing so little? Girls need to learn how to keep warm, or they will suffer the consequences in old age, Biqiong said as she took off her scarf and wrapped it around Helanian's neck. Let's see if you'd still mischievous when that time comes, too. Jean snuggled into Shun Biqiong's arms like a little child, saying, even if I froze, I'd still have you to take care of me, right? Too. Your uncle and your cousin are always talking about how they want to visit you in Jiang City, but they can't find the time. Last night, I dreamed that you were injured, so I came to see you. Are your father and the others treating you well? Shun Biqiong asked. Point two. Yes. Do you think I've gained weight, Aunt? Jean spread her arms and spun around in front of Shun Biqiong. Point two. Shun Biqiong looked at Jean's face. It was full of joy, but the sadness in her eyes did not escape Shun Biqiong. She took Jean's hands and said, that's good, too. Isn't this Miss He? So pitiful. A girl whispered softly to her companion as they passed by Shun Biqiong and Jean. Point two. Though whispered softly, the comment did not escape Shun Biqiong's ears. She pushed Jean to a concealed area to ask what was going on. Even before Jean could answer, Shun Biqiong took out her phone to read about what those girls were gossiping about. After reading about what happened, Shun Biqiong's face turned green. Point two. He actually dared to use you to form a marriage alliance? How dare he? Shun Biqiong said as she walked out in a hurry. Point two. Jean quickly ran forward to calm her down. Aunt, please don't be angry, too. How can I not be angry? Our Jean is beautiful and smart. When she decides to marry, she should marry the best man in the world. Who does Wenqing think he is to force you into a marriage alliance? This Lu Zifen does not look deserving enough to even carry your shoes. 2. I want to tell your uncle to come and skin Wenqing, Shun Biqiong added, fuming. Yes, yes, yes. I shall tell your uncle and your cousin, who loves you like a big brother, to kill him. 2. Jean's eyes were red, and her nose was a little sore. Point 2. The old man had one daughter and 2 sons. The eldest son was able to bring glory to the family, while the youngest son, Wenqing, was addicted to eating, drinking, prostitution, and gambling. Point 2. The old man was so angry that he kicked Wenqing not just out of the house, but also out of the family. Wenqing had been made to change his name from Wenqing to simply Wenqing. If it weren't for his uncle's love for Jean, Wenqing would have been dismembered a long time ago. Point 2. Don't be angry, Aunt. I don't like Lu Zifan any more than you do, Helan Jin said. Point 2. Shen Biqiong felt relieved to hear Helan Jin's words. Still, the old lady had to make sure that Helan Jin was okay and brought her to a nearby hotel. Point 2. Seeing a scar on Helan Jin's arm, Shen Biqiong felt so angry that she jumped up from her seat. Did he Wenqing beat you up, too? And do you think my dad would even try to do that now? Helan Jin shook her head with a smile. Point 2. Shen Biqiong stared at Helan Jin suspiciously. Helan Jin thought of how her grandfather forced her to go to the military academy because of He Wenqing's violence. She grew up with the hope that one day she could beat her father up. Point 2. Come, your uncle has asked me to give you this self-defense gun. Your big brother had me bring you a bulletproof vest, and there's also an anti-wolf device, said Shen Biqiong as she dragged a big box into a visible area in the hotel room. Stunned, Helan Jin looked at Shen Biqiong, who almost gave her 2 missiles. Point 2. Helan Jin rolled her eyes and leaned on the box. You are not sending me to war. Are you, Aunt, too? Helan Jin had mixed feelings looking at the 3 big boxes. Point 2. When she saw the small box of money, she fell silent. Point 2. Shen Biqiong closed the box and said, You have to take very good care of yourself. The Helan family cannot afford to lose you, too. Yes, Aunt. I am taking care of myself. What's this? Am I to start carrying a bankload of money every day, too? Ah, don't be stupid, countered Shen Biqiong. And don't pay any importance to that, he Ruoxue. You calling her your sister is a shame. She is not family, and she will never be. Her kind does not belong with us, too. Shen Biqiong and Helan Jin had not been talking long before someone knocked on the door. Madam, it's time to go, too. I need to go, Shen Biqiong said as she gave Helan Jin a tight hug. Remember to break off the engagement. If and when you think you're ready to marry, ask your uncle to find you a good husband. Shen Biqiong wished to say more, but her assistants so persistently knocked on the door that Helan Jin herself sent her aunt away. Point 2. Last night's incident came to Helan Jin's mind when Tang Jilin and He Wenqing ignored her injury. The difference between her parents' reaction and Shen Biqiong's was like heaven and earth. Point 2. Shen Biqiong, her uncle's wife, often sneaked to Jiang City to visit her. She would secretly bring many things for Helan Jin, careful not to let He Ruoxue know. Point 2. Helan Jin remembered that when she got kidnapped, Shen Biqiong fainted from crying too much. Point 2. Helan Jin turned somber thinking of the still vivid past. She sat in the hotel room for a long time, lost in her thoughts. Point 2. "Aunt Jean," came a voice from outside. Helan Jin opened the door and watched Wan walk in. "I did some investigation," Wan said. "It's really strange. He Ruoxue used to live in the county. Transportation during that time was not as developed as it is now. Logically speaking, it's impossible for her to be in the city in the middle of the night, too. Plus, the men who kidnapped you stayed in prison for only 10 days. After they were released, they all died, one after the other. Too. All of them died." Helan Jin repeated, shocked. "It was probably not just a case of simple kidnapping." Point 2. Wan nodded, handing Helan Jin a file that contained all the available information about the case. "A big chunk of the information had been erased, but I found snippets. Whoever wanted to hide the truth was not very careful. They did not tie up their loose ends, too. Remember when He Ruoxue saved you? Your parents took her in and adopted her as their daughter because their family was poor, right?" Wan asked. "What's interesting to note is that He Ruoxue's parents died after she was adopted. 2. He Ruoxue's parents died in a freak car accident, which was caused by the people who kidnapped me back then." Helan Jin read softly and looked up at Wan. "They all died on the spot, too." "Yes." Wan nodded, taking a bottle of mineral water from the fridge. She opened the bottle and took a sip. "Isn't this 2F*King coincidental, too?" Helan Jin fell silent. She was young then and did not understand what exactly happened. She doted on He Ruoxue and treated her like a sister. But then Helan Jin started to go to military academy and was often not home. Only recently did she realize that something was not right. Point 2. Even so, Helan Jin did not think much about it, because she felt like her suspicions were unfounded. She thought that her heightened awareness was just a product of going to the academy. She did not want to stir trouble in the family, which was why she put all her energy into building and growing her studio. Point 2. What was Hiroashi's story? Helanjin must find out. Point 2. And Juan noticed how quiet Helanjin had become. She felt a little anxious and said, "Why don't we drag her out, beat her up, and force her to look at the information we have?" 2. "No need," Helanjin said. "It looks like it wasn't a coincidence that she appeared to take the knife from me when I was kidnapped." She read the file one last time before she set fire to the document. Point 2. And Juan watched as the fire died. She got up to leave, but suddenly stopped when she remembered something. "How do you want me to deal with the assassin Lu Ziffin sent?" 2. "Tell him to continue working for Lu Ziffin," Helanjin said. "He will be our mole. As long as he gives Lu Ziffin something useful, the young master will keep him on his side." 2. Helanjin wanted to see who Lu Ziffin's backer was and why he was coming for the He family. Did he have a grudge against He Winching? Was he coming for the Helan family? 2. "Got it. All right, I'm heading out," and Juan said. "And for the love of everything that's good, be careful." 2. Before she left the room, though, and Juan stopped to casually open the boxes that she saw by the table. She said in surprise, "Did your aunt send you packages again?" 2. "Yeah, she's afraid I'll starve to death on the streets," Helanjin replied. Point 2. And Juan took a stack of money from one of the boxes, felt its heft, and threw it back in the box. "Does your family need another adopted daughter? If they do, can you put in a suggestion for me? Tell me the truth. Will He Winching and Tang Jilin raise me? Or what about your aunt? Does she need a daughter-in-law, too?" "Bah, we have more than enough trouble in the family," Helanjin said as she chased Juan away. Point 2. Before Juan left, Helanjin stuffed 2 stacks of money into Juan's arms. Juan hugged the stacks to her bosom, and with a wide grin, left the hotel room. Point 2. "Ah yes, last night's call," Helanjin said, suddenly remembering the phone call Lu Ziffin made. She tried to hack into Lu Ziffin's call records with her phone, but the call last night was encrypted. When she decrypted it, she found that the call had been deleted. Point 2. No matter how hard she tried, she could not recover the call. Point 2. Helanjin might have missed this opportunity, but she believed that Lu Ziffin would be tempted to make a move soon. Just like Xiao Hanya said, she needed to be patient and wait for the right moment to strike. Point 2. Helanjin got someone to carry the box away and got ready to leave. Before she left the room, she saw the scarf that Shun Biqiong left behind. Picking it up, she thought about Shun Biqiong's gentleness and warmth. Helanjin could not help but smile. Point 2. After checking out of the room, Helanjin decided to return to the studio. Point 2. Just as she exited the hotel, Helanjin saw Lu Ziffin walking towards her with a bouquet of roses in one arm. "Ah, Jean," Lu Ziffin said as he flashed her a smile. "I miss you, too." Helanjin did not say anything. She merely looked at him, her smile cold. Point 2. Lu Ziffin withdrew his hand awkwardly, not knowing what to say. Point 2. His face contorted when he thought about what happened the previous night. "I heard you got hurt last night," Lu Ziffin asked with concern. "Is it serious, too? What do you think?" Helanjin asked, keeping her distance from Lu Ziffin. She looked at the flowers he was holding, making him very uncomfortable. He awkwardly ran one hand through his hair and said, "Xiao Xue is really confused. She shouldn't have played with the knife, even if she drank too much. I'm glad you weren't seriously hurt. Otherwise, my heart would bleed to death." 2. Helanjin was silent. Point 2. Helanjin's silence gave Lu Ziffin a boost of confidence. "Ah, Jean, are you still thinking about the scandal?" he asked. "News reporters have turned the city into a mess, spreading rumors without verifying the truth. But don't worry, I've already discussed matters with Uncle. We will set the wedding date in a few days, too. I'll make you the happiest woman in the world," Lu Ziffin added. Point 2. Helanjin took off her sunglasses and looked at Lu Ziffin straight in the eye. "Everyone says that marriage is the tomb of love. Before I go to the tomb, what guarantee do you have for me? Why don't you transfer your shares of the Lu Corporation to me? We can go and register the premarital property transfer right now, too." Lu Ziffin's face darkened when he heard what Helanjin wanted. He looked conflicted as he said, "Ah, Jean, don't make a scene, too. You don't lie to women like this often, do you?" Helan Jean said, her eyes turning crafty. If you don't give me shares and money, how can I become the happiest woman in the world? She pouted, her face turning sad. Point two. Helan Jean was obviously making things difficult for Lu Zifen. She could easily break the engagement off herself, but wanted to give Shun Biqiong a chance to practice her skills. After all, this aunt of hers was both gentle and cruel. How could she not let Lu Zifen have fun with someone who had once beaten up the commander? Lu Zifen regretted saying those flowery words as he looked at Helan Jean with mixed emotions. Point two. They all said that she was stupid. Everyone thought that she could still be saved, but now Lu Zifen realized that she was beyond help. How could she still believe everything he said, too? Jean, don't make a fuss. You want shares? No problem. Why don't we make a deal? Seeing that Helan Jean was unprepared for his counter-demand, Lu Zifen said confidently, but the deal would depend on whether or not your family has a secret of equal value. 2. After all, shares of the Lu Corporation represent status and power in Jiang City. Lu Zifen said. Point two. Helan Jean slapped her forehead, saying, My family really has a shameful secret. If you want to know, just tell me. I'll disclose it to you later. 2. Lu Zifen's heart skipped a few beats. If he knew that Helan Jean would be so easy to deal with, he would not have bothered working with the idiot Hiroashua. Point two. But why did Helan Jean suddenly have change of heart? Did his affair with Hiroashua provoke Helan Jean? Has Helan Jean realized she had feelings for Lu Zifen? If so, then his problems were over. Still, he had to keep an eye out. It would not hurt to be cautious. Point two. Baby, I love you so much, Lu Zifen said, thinking of swaying Helan Jean with his sweet words. Point two. Even as he said this, Lu Zifen looked at his watch in a hurry. But I've been very busy these past few days. I don't have time to spend with you right now, but I'll make it up to you after we get married. 2. Sure. Helan Jean looked at him with anticipation. Point two. Lu Zifen was about to leave when a thought struck him. Did you see someone just now, too? Helan Jean's eyes grew cold. Yes, too. Whom did you see? Lu Zifen asked. Point two. I saw you. Aren't you human? Helan Jean said. She grew quiet, suddenly remembering something. Point two. When Helan Jean was young, she would not call Shun Biqiong aunt. Shun Biqiong got so angry that she couldn't sleep. It took Helan Jean a long time before she finally got used to calling Shun Biqiong aunt. Helan Jean did not know why this memory sprang up when she saw a passerby wearing old-fashioned pants. Point two. Lu Zifen, noticing Helan Jean's silence, found an excuse to leave. Point two. Helan Jean's face darkened at Lu Zifen's words. Was she being followed, too? The more she thought about it, the more it appeared as if Lu Zifen was not really after He Wenqing's company, too. Thinking these thoughts while standing alone in the street, Helan Jean realized how cold this winter was. Point two. Helan Jean's phone vibrated, disturbing her thoughts. She looked at her phone, puzzled to be getting a call from an unknown number. When she answered the call, the other party whispered, Miss, you have to be careful. Jiang City is not a very safe place as of the moment. Point two. What happened? Helan Jean asked, trying to keep calm as fear welled up in her heart. She walked to a corner and said in a low voice, Did something happen to my aunt, too? The other party stuttered. Helan Jean's fingertips trembled as she said in a cold voice, Speak. I order you to speak, too. It's just a small accident. It has been dealt with. It was Madame who told me to tell you to be careful. The person hung up soon after, afraid that Helan Jean would have more questions. Point two. Shun Biqiong was probably okay. Otherwise, she would not be able to send word to Helan Jean about the need to be extra careful. Point two. She was in Jiang City for less than 2 hours. How did she get targeted? Helan Jean asked herself. She drove Xiao Hanya's sports car to the highway as she tracked the IP of Shun Biqiong's phone. Point two. Shun Biqiong's people, however, were swift and decisive. They had disappeared from the scene without leaving any clues. Point two. People really have to be careful on the road. Just now, a few disabled people drove recklessly and crashed a rich person's car. Driving slowly, Helan Jean heard some workers talking on the side of the highway. Point two. Helan Jean got off the car to ask around and was shocked to learn that the car blew up. What was curious was that no one knew the exact details. Point two. What happened? Who did it? Helanjin thought to herself. Point 2. Lu Zifan had his eyes set on Helanjin, and now someone wanted to harm Shen Biqiong. Point 2. Were these two incidents related? Did it have anything to do with Shen Biqiong spoiling Helanjin as a child? 2. Helanjin remembered how Shen Biqiong came all the way here after Helanjin got saved from the kidnapping. She hugged Helanjin and cried until she almost fainted. The old man was so angry that he sent He Wenqing flying with a slap. Point 2. Only now did she realize that save for her biological parents, everyone loved her. Point 2. She was the little princess of a Helan family, and was He Wenqing's life-saving charm. He Wenqing would not even dare scold her when he was sober. Today, Shen Biqiong took a detour to see her and got into an accident. If anything were to happen to Shen Biqiong, Helanjin would bear the guilt for the rest of her life. Point 2. Helanjin looked down her phone. She was so anxious to get in touch with Shen Biqiong that she did not notice a car coming. By the time she reacted, it was already too late. Point 2. Be careful. A masculine voice made Helanjin come back to her senses. She tried to dodge the oncoming car, but it was going too fast. Point 2. The author wrote this paragraph to remind people to not be on their phones while walking. Doing so is not safe. Point 2. When Helanjin came to, she was in Xiao Hanya's arms. Before the car hit her, Xiao Hanya had grabbed her by the waist. Carrying her in one arm and leaning on the rushing car with the other, Xiao Hanya jumped to the side of the road. As they fell, he wrapped his arms around Helanjin to protect her. Point 2. Oh, Helanjin groaned, her mind blank. Point 2. The driver of the car, who was a novice, got so scared that he drove away. He did not want to get arrested for possibly causing the death of 2 people. Point 2. Feeling Helanjin's body trembling, Xiao Hanya held her by the waist as he gently lifted her chin with his fingers. How can you play with your phone while walking? Are you asking for a beating? Xiao Hanya asked in his masculine voice. Point 2. Helanjin was very surprised to know that it was Xiao Hanya who saved her. Point 2. You. Helanjin narrowed her eyes at Xiao Hanya. Are you a stalker? 2. That's quite true, Miss He. Xiao Hanya laughed. I've taken a fancy to you, too. Helanjin blushed. Xiao Hanya supported her as she propped herself up. When she was finally standing, pain shot up from her feet, causing her to fall and bury her little face into his chest. Point 2. Xiao Hanya's scent filled her nose. He smelled exceptionally good. Point 2. What's wrong? Why aren't you letting go? Are you trying to seduce me? Helanjin said as she lifted her head from his chest, pretending to be okay. Point 2. Nonsense, Xiao Hanya said as he lightly pressed Helanjin's head to his chest. Point 2. Did you hurt your foot? Xiao Hanya asked as he looked down at Helanjin's foot. Point 2. I might have sprained it, Helanjin replied. Point 2. Xiao Hanya lifted Helanjin up and sat her on the side of the road. He squatted in front of her and examined her feet. You don't seem to have broken any bones. That's good. You have sprained your ankle, though, too. Xiao Hanya got up. Helanjin panicked and quickly reached for his hand. Her hand landed on his belt instead. Point 2. Helanjin looked up at Xiao Hanya. Good thing his pants were a good fit. They did not give when she pulled on his belt. But her fingers started feeling hot. Helanjin felt as if she touched something she should not have. She was so embarrassed, she could not even think of letting go. Point 2. Xiao Hanya looked down at Helanjin. He removed her hand from his belt and squatted in front of her, his hand still holding hers. What do you want, Miss He Tu? It's broad daylight. What would I want from you? Helanjin hissed as she drew her hand back. Then, in a particularly serious manner, she said, tie your pants tighter in the future. 2. Even if she was beaten to death, she would not admit that she wanted his help. She reached out for his hand, but her hand landed elsewhere when he turned around. Point 2. But she had to admit to herself that her hand brushed on something that was a little hard. Point 2. But that was his lighter, right? After all, he seemed to smoke every day. Point 2. She could not help but glance up at Xiao Hanya. She felt embarrassed. Point 2. I think I have to thank Miss He for her warm reminder, Xiao Hanya said thoughtfully. He pulled Helanjin toward him. Point 2. Helanjin felt light as Xiao Hanya pulled her to him. In one swift movement, he was carrying her in his arms. Point 2. The women who were trimming the flowers and plants by the roadside were watching this scene unfold. "Ah, the young couple is having a disagreement," said one of the women. "The lady is having a tantrum, and the man seems to have been touched, too. The shy look on the young woman's face says it all. She must be going back, too." Hearing the women's gossip made He Lanjin blush. She stared at Xiao Hanya, raised her hand to pinch his perfect chin, and asked, "Mr. Qiao, don't tell me that we met by chance at such a remote highway junction, too." He Lanjin suddenly narrowed her eyes at him. "Xiao Hanya, you can't be too." Xiao Hanya ignored He Lanjin as he carried her to his luxury car. He put her in the passenger seat, took the sports car keys from her, and threw them in the dark. He disappeared. Point 2. She was not stupid enough to think that he had lost the car keys, but there was someone in the dark with him. Point 2. "You two, behave yourself," Xiao Hanya said coldly. He fastened He Lanjin's seatbelt and stuffed a pillow by her waist to make her more comfortable. Point 2. For some reason unknown to He Lanjin, Xiao Hanya forcefully carried her into the car and drove her back to Scenery Garden. Point 2. While she was in a state of uncertainty, He Lanjin received a message from Inwan saying that no one had died at the intersection of the highway. Immediately after, He Lanjin got a message from Shun Biqiang. He Lanjin hurriedly dialed the number, and the other party picked up. Point 2. He Lanjin heaved a sigh of relief when she finally heard Shun Biqiang's voice. Point 2. Refusing to believe that what happened was a consequence, He Lanjin quickly sent a message to Inwan. "Find out who did it, too." Shun Biqiang's identity was very important. Her arrival at Jiang City was a secret, so how could she suddenly be hit at the intersection of the highway? And then Lu Zifan had coincidentally appeared in front of the hotel to stop He Lanjin, give her flowers, and ask if she had seen anyone. Point 2. Could the accident be caused by Lu Zifan? It was easy to think so, but He Lanjin knew that Lu Zifan was not careless. Point 2. She was so engrossed in her thoughts that she did not even notice that Xiao Hanya had carried her to her room. It was not until he placed her on the sofa that she felt the pain again. Point 2. He Lanjin saw Xiao Hanya come over with the medicine box. He rolled up her pants and took off her shoes. "It might get a little painful after I apply the medicine," Xiao Hanya said. "Can you take it, too?" "Yes," He Lanjin replied. After all, it was just a sprain. It would be fine as soon as the medicine started working. If she could not endure a little pain, how could she have graduated from the military academy? She was not a bad student, was she, too? Xiao Hanya looked at He Lanjin momentarily before applying the medicine. A cold feeling spread over her skin, numbing the pain. Point 2. "Don't move. You'll feel better in a moment," Xiao Hanya said in a deep voice. Point 2. Meanwhile, Han Beicheng had just returned home. He took off his coat, which was wet from the rain, before heading upstairs to Xiao Hanya's study. Point 2. "Oh, be gentle." As Han Beicheng passed by He Lanjin's room, he heard some moaning. He stopped by the door in astonishment, wondering what was happening. "What is that sound, too? Bear with it. It'll be over soon," came Xiao Hanya's voice. Point 2. Han Beicheng was about to push the door to He Lanjin's door open, but he stopped in his tracks when he heard his master's voice. Point 2. "Faster, faster," He Lanjin said in a low voice. He Lanjin's pain was caused by a twisted ankle. Xiao Hanya could easily pull it back into place, but he took his time for fear that he would hurt He Lanjin more. But what He Lanjin wanted now, more than ever, was to fix her ankle. Xiao Hanya was not doing it fast enough. Point 2. "Are you sure?" Xiao Hanya asked. Point 2. He Lanjin grabbed a pillow, gritted her teeth, and growled at Xiao Hanya. "Stop your nonsense and hurry up." 2. Just as He Lanjin finished talking, Xiao Hanya grabbed her jade-like foot and twisted her ankle back into place. There was a crackle, and He Lanjin's face flushed red as pain crept through the affected foot. She watched as Xiao Hanya warmed the medicine on his palm before applying it to her foot. Point 2. The refreshing sensation made He Lanjin feel a little better. Point 2. "Get up and walk around," Xiao Hanya said. He Lanjin sat up and took a couple of steps forward. She was surprised to realize that her feet did not hurt anymore. She could walk without any pain. Point 2. He Lanjin was so relieved that she started jumping like a kid. Xiao Hanya suddenly grabbed her, saying, "Don't move." 2. "Oh," He Lanjin muttered, feeling defeated. She poked the arm that Xiao Hanya wrapped around her. He quickly let go of her and took the medicine box. Before he left the room, he threw a blanket at her. Change your clothes, too. Helan Jean tore off the blanket that covered her body. She looked down and saw that her sweater had been ripped open, revealing her small waist. Did she tear her shirt during the accident? Helan Jean crossed her arms and fell on the sofa. She lifted her long legs on the backrest and tilted her head to look out the window. She pointed at an imaginary person outside the window and said, "Be honest. Are you spying on my beauty, too? So what if he's handsome?" "I'm not tempted," Helan Jean said, burying her face in a pillow. Point two. The faint tobacco scent that she smelled on his body lingered in the air. For the first time, Helan Jean realized that it was quite a pleasant aroma. Point two. Helan Jean got up and changed into casual clothes. She opened her notebook and typed rapidly on the keyboard. She grew silent. Her eyes were so alert and focused that she seemed completely different from her usual self. Half an hour later, she found out Lou Ziffin's whereabouts during the past 6 months. She was surprised to find that he went to the neighboring city twice a month, and a little more frequently during this month. Point two. Xiao Hanya went out of Helan Jean's room, startling Han Beiqing. Point two. Han Beiqing stood in front of Helan Jean's door in a daze, as if struck by lightning. Shocked, he turned his head away awkwardly when Xiao Hanya came out of the room. Han Beiqing's ears turned red as he debated with himself whether to run away or talk to his master. Point two. Xiao Hanya looked at Han Beiqing with a puzzled expression and asked, "Are you sick, too?" "Oh, no." Han Beiqing stuttered as he touched his face. "In my study," Xiao Hanya said as he walked away. Point two. Han Beiqing followed his master immediately, afraid of missing what Xiao Hanya would say. Point two. The two talked in the study for 2 hours. After important matters had been discussed, Han Beiqing asked, "Master, what happened earlier? You suddenly left during the meeting. Some of the people you met with expressed their displeasure." 2. Han Beiqing was very puzzled. Everything Xiao Hanya did was always according to plan. Xiao Hanya was calm and resolute, but not today. He left an entire room full of directors after receiving a message on his phone. Point two. If they are not satisfied, ask them to hand in their resignations, Xiao Hanya said decisively. Point two. Han Beiqing nodded and noted this directive down. Point two. "Master, don't you think there is something fishy about the car accident at the highway junction today?" Han Beiqing asked, breaking his silence. Point two. Xiao Hanya unbuttoned his shirt sleeves and gently rolled them up. He did not say a word. Point two. "Where did Nan Feng go?" came Xiao Hanya's slightly cold voice. Point two. He had ordered Nan Feng to protect Helan Jean, not to watch her get into an accident. If Xiao Hanya had not arrived at the scene, she would be in a serious condition now. Point two. Sensing Xiao Hanya's coldness, Han Beiqing quickly said, "He had something to do last minute," and went back to the Xiao family. "I apologize for not reporting to you on time. I deserve to die, too." Xiao Hanya's hands froze in midair. "Went back. Did he tell you what happened?" 2. Han Beiqing shook his head. Number 2. "Leave," Xiao Hanya said. He walked to the bar counter, where he got a bottle of rare red wine. He poured himself a drink. Point two. Han Beiqing closed the door behind him as he left. He saw Helan Jean, who seemed to be in a good mood. Point two. Han Beiqing quickly went forward and greeted her. "Miss He." 2. Helan Jean waved at Han Beiqing, then proceeded to head down the stairs. "Can you help me? I need to bring these to my room," Helan Jean said as she looked up at Han Beiqing from the bottom of the stairs. Point two. Han Beiqing looked down at the boxes, then went downstairs to do as Helan Jean wished. Point two. "Mr. Han, you're very kind. You didn't drink the soup this morning, right? Wait here. I'll make some tonic soup for you," Helan Jean said as she opened the box and looked at the medicinal herbs Shun Biqiong prepared for her. They were all precious. Point two. When he heard she was making soup, Han Beiqing got so scared that his face turned green. "Missy, don't. You're too polite. Please don't bother," he frantically said. Half an hour later, she found out Lou Ziffin's whereabouts during the past 6 months. She was surprised to find that he went to the neighboring city twice a month, and a little more frequently during this month. Point two. Xiao Hanya went out of Helan Jean's room, startling Han Beicheng. Point 2. Han Beicheng stood in front of He Lanjin's door in a daze, as if struck by lightning. Shocked, he turned his head away awkwardly when Xiao Hanya came out of the room. Han Beicheng's ears turned red as he debated with himself whether to run away or talk to his master. Point 2. Xiao Hanya looked at Han Beicheng with a puzzled expression and asked, "Are you sick, too?" "Oh, no." Han Beicheng stuttered as he touched his face. "In my study," Xiao Hanya said as he walked away. Point 2. Han Beicheng followed his master immediately, afraid of missing what Xiao Hanya would say. Point 2. The two talked in the study for 2 hours. After important matters had been discussed, Han Beicheng asked, "Master, what happened earlier? You suddenly left during the meeting. Some of the people you met with expressed their displeasure." 2. Han Beicheng was very puzzled. Everything Xiao Hanya did was always according to plan. Xiao Hanya was calm and resolute, but not today. He left an entire room full of directors after receiving a message on his phone. Point 2. If they are not satisfied, ask them to hand in their resignations, Xiao Hanya said decisively. Point 2. Han Beicheng nodded and noted this directive down. Point 2. "Master, don't you think there is something fishy about the car accident at the highway junction today?" Han Beicheng asked, breaking his silence. Point 2. Xiao Hanya unbuttoned his shirt sleeves and gently rolled them up. He did not say a word. Point 2. "Where did Nan Feng go?" came Xiao Hanya's slightly cold voice. Point 2. He had ordered Nan Feng to protect Yilan Jin, not to watch her get into an accident. If Xiao Hanya had not arrived at the scene, she would be in a serious condition now. Point 2. Sensing Xiao Hanya's coldness, Han Beicheng quickly said, "He had something to do last minute," and went back to the Xiao family. "I apologize for not reporting to you on time. I deserve to die, too." Xiao Hanya's hands froze in midair. "Went back. Did he tell you what happened, too?" Han Beicheng shook his head. Number 2. "Leave," Xiao Hanya said. He walked to the bar counter, where he got a bottle of rare red wine. He poured himself a drink. Point 2. Han Beicheng closed the door behind him as he left. He saw Yilan Jin, who seemed to be in a good mood. Point 2. Han Beicheng quickly went forward and greeted her. "Miss He, too." Yilan Jin waved at Han Beicheng, then proceeded to head down the stairs. "Can you help me? I need to bring these to my room," Yilan Jin said as she looked up at Han Beicheng from the bottom of the stairs. Point 2. Han Beicheng looked down at the boxes, then went downstairs to do as Yilan Jin wished. Point 2. "Mr. Han, you're very kind. You didn't drink the soup this morning, right? Wait here. I'll make some tonic soup for you," Yilan Jin said as she opened the box and looked at the medicinal herbs Shun Biqiong prepared for her. They were all precious. Point 2. When he heard she was making soup, Han Beicheng got so scared that his face turned green. "Missy, don't. You're too polite. Please don't bother," he frantically said. I won't be back tonight," Han Beicheng explained. Master doesn't like to drink soup either. Please rest well." He bowed to Yilan Jin and walked out of her room. He closed the door behind him and fled for his life. Point 2. This morning, Han Beicheng had 2 bowls of Yilan Jin's soup. Not only did it make his nose bleed, it also made his body uncomfortable. He had to endure being poked on the buttocks by Shangwan Ji before his libido went down. Point 2. "You must be crazy," Shangwan Ji said as he made fun of Han Beicheng. "You shouldn't have taken that kind of tonic since you do not have a wife. Did you think the soup will give you extra strength, too? Is my cooking that scary?" Yilan Jin asked herself, feeling a little sad. She threw the medicinal herbs back in a box, took out her pistol, and played with it a few times. Looking at the bulletproof vest in the box, she could not help but smile. What era is it now? Do people still use vests such as this, too? Yilan Jin safely put Shin Biqiong's gifts before heading downstairs. Point 2. She approached Xiao Hanya, who was brewing some coffee, to feel the wound on his palm. It seemed to have healed nicely. Point 2. "Mr. Xiao, your wound healed rather quickly, don't you think?" Yilan Jin said, wanting Xiao Hanya to feel guilty. They both knew that he was just pretending to be injured. She wanted to see what other tricks he had up his sleeve. Point 2. "Okay," Xiao Hanya answered as he nodded his head. He did not seem even the slightest bit embarrassed that Yilan Jin saw through his charade. Point 2. Yilan Jin leaned forward and watched as Xiao Hanya silently brewed the coffee. He poured a cup and handed it to her. Point two. He Lanjin thanked Xiao Hanya, then took a sip of the coffee. The taste was so pure that she had to take 2 more sips in quick succession. She reached over to look at the box and see what brand of coffee Xiao Hanya used. At the same time, Xiao Hanya grabbed the box to put away. Point two. Helan Jin's hand landed on Xiao Hanya's, and the two looked at each other, neither saying a word. Realizing what happened, Helan Jin quickly withdrew her hand. Point two. Coffee's not bad, she said and turned her back to him. Her eyes darted furtively, indicating that she was up to nothing good. Point two. Xiao Hanya looked at Helan Jin's retreating figure and chuckled softly. Point two. As soon as Helan Jin was out of sight, Xiao Hanya snapped his fingers. A bodyguard appeared before him and said, "Young master, what would you have me do, to get everyone out of here?" Xiao Hanya ordered. The bodyguard was puzzled, but did not ask why. Instead, the bodyguard answered respectfully, "Yes, we will disappear immediately." 2. Helan Jin went out of the house and took a walk around Xiao Hanya's property. She had been living here for some time now, but she had never explored the place before. She was surprised to see how exquisite the garden was. It was like that of an ancient Jiangnan house. For some reason, she remembered the ancient house in the suburbs, where she first saw Xiao Hanya. The words of the centenarian in the theater echoed in her ears. Point two. Helan Jin's phone suddenly rang. She tapped accept on her phone, and Tang Jilin's voice came on the line. "Ah, Jin, after those hooligans were caught, they confessed and said that everything was a misunderstanding. Xiao Xue drank too much that night. She said she wanted to save someone who was screaming for help. She didn't want to stab you. She wasn't even expecting to see you in that alley. It was all an accident, too. Listen to Mom's advice," Tang Jilin said. "Don't take it seriously, too." Tang Jilin's words completely made Helan Jin lose interest. "And you called me up because?" Helan Jin asked coldly. Point two. "Ah, Jin, Xiao Xue won't stop crying and wants to end her life. Come home quickly and apologize to her," Tang Jilin ordered. "You two are sisters. Don't make a fuss over such a small matter," Helan Jin fumed, wanting the conversation to be over soon. Point two. "Also, has Shin Biqiong been looking for you recently?" Tang Jilin asked rather carefully. "You know your aunt. She uses her power to bully others. If it weren't for her and your uncle, the old man wouldn't chase your father out." Helan Jin did answer. Point two. "No matter what she says, don't believe her. Stay away from Shun Biqiong. Don't let her betray you," Tang Jilin warned. Point two. Helan Jin sneered. "What are you so worried about, too?" Tang Jilin was taken aback by Helan Jin's question and could not say anything. Point two. Without another word, Helan Jin decisively hung up. She was too upset to say anything. Point two. She knew very well how Shun Biqiong treated her, and how Tang Jilin paled in comparison. It had always been like this. Point two. Helan Jin walked to one side of the house where she saw a hammock. She walked over and lay down on the hammock to rest. Point two. The winter wind blew, causing Helan Jin to cross her arms in an attempt to shield herself from the cold. She closed her eyes, and recent events ran through her mind. She laughed out loud, having come up with an idea. Point two. Sensing a presence, she opened her eyes. "Mr. Qiao, you, too." Helan Jin saw Xiao Hanya softly rocking the hammock. She then realized that a blanket was covering her. No wonder she was not cold anymore. Point two. She wanted to get up, but the hammock was shaking. Helan Jin tried to sit upright, but the rocking motion caused half of her body to fall toward Xiao Hanya. Head buried in Xiao Hanya's abdomen, Helan Jin shouted softly, "Stop, stop!" 2. Xiao Hanya watched as Helan Jin grabbed his belt to stop herself from falling to the floor. He lifted her face from his midsection as he steadied the hammock. Point two. Covering herself with the blanket, Helan Jin jumped down from the hammock. She gave him a haughty look and asked, "Why do you always appear by my side?" 2. "What do you think?" Xiao Hanya said as he took half a step closer. Point two. She, who was not afraid of anything, instinctively took half a step back and fell on a chair. She leaned back and said, You, don't come closer, too. Xiao Hanya calmly watched as He Lanjin squirmed to get away from him. Why are you panicking, too? Face flushing, He Lanjin jumped up and threw the blanket at Xiao Hanya. You think you're so great because you're rich? He Lanjin said, feeling her mouth go extremely dry. I'm a decent person. I'm not tempted by money or beauty, too. What? Xiao Hanya asked with interest. Miss He, how did you even know I'm rich? Did you hire someone to investigate me, too? He Lanjin pinched her ears and rubbed them in irritation as her heart pounded nonstop. She straightened her back and turned away, saying, Don't think that you too. He Lanjin suddenly realized that something was wrong. She immediately explained, When I said I'm thick-skinned, I'm not that thick-skinned. Don't misunderstand, too. Xiao Hanya walked over to He Lanjin and draped a blanket over her body. He tied the ends of the blanket so it did not fall off He Lanjin's shoulders and said, I don't know what you mean by thick-skinned, too. You. He Lanjin's mind went blank. Point two. Without thinking, she started running back to the house. She felt suffocated as if Xiao Hanya's appearance had thinned the air. Point two. Your leg is injured. Run slowly. Xiao Hanya's masculine voice sounded behind her. Point two. When He Lanjin heard Xiao Hanya's warning, she took a misstep and hit a tree. She wanted to slap the ground and stand up straight, but he was faster than her. In one swoop, Xiao Hanya grabbed her waist and pulled her back. Point two. He Lanjin had never been so embarrassed before. She was a straight-A student from the military academy. Why did she always lose her bearings in front of him, too? I really thank you. He Lanjin gritted her teeth and looked at Xiao Hanya with a smile. Her smile was as bright as the spring sunshine in March, but her eyes were not smiling. They were, instead, full of killing intent. Point two. Xiao Hanya turned around like a gentleman and said, Miss He, this way, please, too. She turned around and left. Taking the car keys, she drove back to the city. Point two. He Lanjin returned to the He residence and quietly went upstairs. Just as she was about to approach He Ruoshua's bedroom, she heard the someone crying. He Ruoshua sobbed and said, Mom, will Ah Jean ignore me from now on? I wouldn't have hurt her if I was not in a hurry to save her. 2. I know. You have always been kind, Tang Jilin said helplessly. Ah Jean is not as smart as you, but she will eventually understand. 2. He Ruoshua said in a delicate voice, The company is busy now, but she is not here to help oversee things. Mom, do you think I can help with the company, too? If I could get my hands on important company information, maybe I can. Hiroashua thought. Point 2. He Lanjin stood on the balcony and listened to the conversation between Tang Jilin and Hiroashua. Point 2. Let's talk about this later. For now, you must rest, Tang Jilin said before she left the room. Point 2. Hiroashua watched Tang Jilin leave. Hiroashua's face was full of tears, but there was disgust on her face. Sitting up on her bed, she said, He Lanjin, I'm afraid you'll never be able to come back in this life, too. Hiroashua reached under her pillow and took out a document. She looked through it carefully before stuffing it into her bag. Point 2. Leaning against the bed, Hiroashua made a call. She lifted up her skirt and ran her hand on her fair legs. Looking at her snow-white feet, she raised her head confidently and said, Hubby, I got what you wanted. Don't rush, too. I miss you. Hiroashua hinted in a delicate voice. Point 2. She stroked her neck as she seductively said, Well, you better get a good room at the Century Hotel. I'll be there soon, too. After the call, Hiroashua took another look at the sexy outfit that she prepared and walked to the bathroom to take a shower. Point 2. He Lanjin lazily leaned against the wall and laughed out loud. She sneaked into Hiroashua's room while Hiroashua was showering and looked through the document Hiroashua was hiding. While the file contained internal information about the He Corporation, the information was not classified as confidential. Point 2. He Lanjin did not really expect Hiroashua to think that this was what Lu Zifan wanted. Did Hiroashua think this information was highly confidential? 2. He Lanjin's eyes darted craftily. She quickly printed another set of documents, stuffed them into Hiroashua's document bag, and quietly left. Point 2. On her way downstairs, He Lanjin heard a sound coming from the study room next to her parents' bedroom. She approached curiously. Point 2. Do you think Shin Biqiong said something to her? If she didn't, why would stupid Ajin move out? Tang Jilin asked nervously. Tang Jilin had no idea that He Wenqing planned to sell He Lanjin to CEO Huang. 2. He Wenqing knew that He Lanjin moved out because of what he did, but he did not think his wife needed to know that. Probably. Who else could influence He Lanjin that way? If they didn't drive me out of my home, I wouldn't even be in this situation. 2. Or find someone to kill her. Anyway, the old man is far from the emperor, so he probably won't find out about us. Tang Jilin had always been meek and cowardly, so hearing her say these words was shocking. He Lanjin must have misheard the words. 2. Before the two could figure out what was going on, they heard a knock on the door. They stopped talking. 2. He Lanjin was puzzled. Why were they so afraid of Shen Biqiong getting close to her? Could they have a secret and were afraid that Shen Biqiong would spill the truth? Were they responsible for the accident at the highway junction today? 2. And do they have anything to do with the death of He Ruoshua's parents? How are they related to He Lanjin's kidnappers back then? 2. Addicted to gambling and drinking, He Wenqing had always been weak and incompetent in He Lanjin's eyes. But she did not expect the seemingly unremarkable He family to have issues that were more terrifying than palace scandals. Her family life was calm and peaceful on the surface, but turbulent underneath. 2. He Lanjin left the He residence and drove to Century Hotel. As expected, Lu Zifan was there. 2. Ajin, why are you here? Lu Zifan asked, shocked at seeing He Lanjin. He came in a hurry and looked rather disheveled. Under the lights of the hotel, she looked as charming as a delicate fairy who would not hurt a fly. 2. Lu Zifan, however, looked at her warily. The last time they saw each other, Lu Zifan sensed that something was not right with He Lanjin. He had to be on guard. 2. It's too cold outside. I came in to warm myself a bit, He Lanjin said as she rubbed her small hands together. She tilted her head, smiled, and said, I'm hungry. Why don't you treat me to a meal? 2. Lu Zifan did not know what to make of He Lanjin. He tried to size her up, but he just could not see through her. 2. Why don't we do it another day? Lu Zifan said, suspicious of He Lanjin's motives. Besides, he was here to meet up with He Ruoshua. There would be big trouble should He Lanjin see He Ruoshua here. 2. A whistle interrupted Lu Zifan's thoughts. Little baby, shouted a handsome man. He was walking toward He Lanjin. He Lanjin's smile froze. What was Qin doing here, too? Young Master Lu is also here, Qin Nan said as he put an arm around He Lanjin's shoulder. What a coincidence, too. He Lanjin used all her energy to keep herself from kicking Qin Nan out of the hotel. 2. He Lanjin came to test Lu Zifan, but he was obviously on guard against her. She did not know how much he knew, if he did know anything. Now that this buffoon Qin Nan is here, there was no way He Lanjin could get Lu Zifan to speak. He Ruoshua was coming soon, too. He Lanjin's plan was not going as smoothly as she thought. 2. He Lanjin turned to Lu Zifan. By the way, have you thought about giving me the rights to your shares, too? Lu Zifan was in a dilemma. He merely wanted to stall He Lanjin. He had no intentions of giving her any of his shares. He was not expecting this stupid woman to remind him of giving up his shares in front of Qin Nan, the third young master of another prominent family in Jiang City. 2. F***, that's a big matter. Let's sit and talk, Qin Nan said as he led the two to a table at the hotel cafeteria. He forced Lu Zifan to the seat opposite He Lanjin. 2. Qin Nan then walked to He Lanjin's side, ready to take the seat beside her. 2. What a coincidence. Xiao Hanya's magnetic voice rang out. He Lanjin's hand shook, spilling the tea that she was pouring. 2. Turning her head, He Lanjin saw Xiao Hanya walking over. When he reached the table, he took off his coat and hung it behind the chair Qin Nan was going to sit on. Xiao Hanya grabbed Qin Nan's hand on the chair and gently moved it away. He said politely, Third young master Qin, how polite of you, but I can pull my own chair, too. He Lanjin was very puzzled. Where did Xiao Hanya come from? How did he know she was here, too? Qin Nan looked at Xiao Hanya, finding it really hard to keep himself from cursing. 2. Qin Nan wanted to sit next to He Lanjin, but when he saw Xiao Hanya, He feared for his life and the girls he was yet to meet. Could this man be following him, too? Let me do it, Xiao Hanya said as he took the teapot from Yilanjin. He cleaned up the spill with a table napkin and poured Yilanjin a cup of tea. What do you want to eat? He asked her, as if they were alone at the table point too. Yilanjin remembered what she told Xiao Hanya about being a rich man and got so embarrassed that she wanted to run away and disappear from the table point too. Xiao Hanya called the waiter over and ordered the dishes Yilanjin liked. Sitting on the same side, Lu Zifan and Qin Nen looked at each other, feeling like outsiders point too. Xiao Hanya looked at Yilanjin. Then, he looked at the two people opposite him. Qin Nen quickly turned his head away, not daring to look at Xiao Hanya point too. Young Master Lu, I heard that you are giving up your shares for love. I wish to help, but the only thing I can do is to invite the best legal team in Jiang City. I hope they would suffice, Xiao Hanya said in a respectful manner point two. As soon as Xiao Hanya finished speaking, a group of lawyers in crisp suits came in. They went straight to Lu Zifan and asked, Young Master Lu, is your will in place, too? Lu Zifan's face darkened slightly. My will? What about it, too? Let me explain, said one of the lawyers. The trend nowadays is to transfer property before marriage and to leave a will. This means that if young Master Lu dies tomorrow, then your property will be inherited by Miss He or by whomever is specified in the will. 2. Another lawyer added, if young Master Lu was found infertile, all the property would be owned by the wife. 2. Qin got very excited. He liked watching transactions such as this. But he liked this one, especially because Lu Zifan's nose was about to be rubbed in the dirt point too. There's another clause you should know, another lawyer chimed in. If you are found to be infertile and impotent, you would have to compensate your wife for the loss of her youth. I suggest you make a notarization before you get married. We could give you a 99% discount on the lawyer's fees for the entire process, too. Yilanjin sat be-eyed Xiao Hanya, her hand with the teacup trembling violently. It took all her strength to not laugh out loud at Lu Zifan's face point too.